Now, there are also guidelines in selecting the research topic. So, after knowing the sources of the research problems, you have to consider these guidelines in selecting the topic that you were able to identify. First, it should consider the training and personal qualifications of the researcher. Take note that you are a student researcher and that our subject is just within a semester only, that we have already used the first parts of the semester, first weeks of the semester in the discussion of concepts. And then second, it should consider the availability of data involved in the study and the methods and techniques to be employed in gathering them. This is very crucial. Even though the topic that you had finally decided to dwell into is a very good research topic, but you cannot gather data due to some restrictions or due to some impossibilities, then it is useless to go for this topic. And then the methods and techniques to be employed in gathering them. You need also to consider what method will you be employing. Are you going to conduct, is it possible for you to conduct an interview? Is it possible for you to conduct a focus group discussion? Or is it possible to conduct a survey? Like those. So those are the considerations, the methods of gathering. And then it should consider the availability of effective instruments for gathering the data and their treatment. Aside from the methods and the availability of data, you need also to consider what effective instrument are you going to use in gathering the data and in treating the data. Is there an available instrument? If there is none, are you willing or are you capable of drafting or constructing an instrument for you to be able to gather the data that you need in your study? So consider that. Usually, researchers try to also do the review of related literature at the early stage of their study because they are also looking into standardized instrument that they could utilize in gathering the data if they pursue the research topic that they had chosen. Next, it should be of researcher's interest and researcher must be with the topic. What does it mean by this? Researcher's interest. Of course, you must be interested in the research topic because if not, probably you cannot continue doing your study. Then the researcher must be with the topic. It means that you must be immersed into it. You must be very interested into your topic so that you can never lose motivation to pursue it. The next, it should consider the factors involved in the undertaking. Actually, the methods, the instruments, the availability of data are some of the factors already, but there are other factors like maybe financial, then technical aspects of course, and then the availability also of the respondents, transportation, the location, so other factors. It must be original. Of course, the research topic that you should choose must be original and not a copied one. And then it should be clear, not ambiguous. That is why it is important for you to identify the variables as early as selecting the research topic to make your research topic clear and not ambiguous or unclear. Then it must necessarily arouse intellectual curiosity. This is also very important because there are those who propose a research topic that does not arouse intellectual curiosity. It is simply as asking a question that by merely browsing the internet or by merely browsing or reading a text or an information from a textbook, you could already give an answer to the proposed topic. So that should not be the case. Your research topic should necessarily arouse intellectual curiosity. When we say intellectual curiosity, something that is new, of course, something that you need to really conduct a scientific inquiry for you to be able to give answer to the problem identified. Next, it should consider the financial capacity of the researcher to support a project. Of course, we should accept the fact that when we conduct a study, there will always be a part wherein we need to really spend some amount, and that you need to consider that financial capacity. So you need not to have a wide scope of study for you to be able to have a good research. But then we can have a good research even if the study will not cover a wide scope, because there is what we call sampling or samples that represents the whole population. So we need to utilize that. Next, it should be something new or different from what has already been written. That's why it must be original. It should be significant to the field of study or discipline. Of course, it must be something that gives new information to the discipline that you are into. Okay, just like the humanities and social science. It's a discipline. It should be a modest one for a beginner to be carried on within a limited time. It must be a modest one. That's why when you propose a study, make sure that you can conduct it within the semester. Alright, so those are the different guidelines in selecting your research topic. Now let's proceed to writing your research title. Firstly, what is a research title? Is it different from the research topic? What do you think? Yes, it is different from the research topic, because a research topic or a research problem can be a broad one. It's broader than the research title. So what is a research title? It is the most important element that captures readers' attention and highlights the research problem under investigation. It may seem very easy to write a research title, but the truth is, it actually entails a detailed understanding of the research problem. That's why, if you have already identified a research problem or research topic, try to make that research problem clear so that you could be able to come up with a clear research title also. If the research problem is not well thought of, pag hindi masyadong pinag-iisipan, a research may not have focus and direction. This causes most student researchers to be stuck in the early stage of a research process. To avoid this, here are some suggestions. First, a proposed research title should be within the researcher's interest so that he or she would be motivated to work on it throughout the process. That is what I have emphasized earlier. It should be within your interest. Second, come up with a working research title first rather than coming up with a final title. If the researcher understands the research problem, he or she will never lose focus. That's true. When we are asked to propose a research title, do not take it as your final title. There will always come a time within the research process, during the research process, that your title will change. As long as you have already identified the variables that you need to study or that you want to study, then your research title can be a working title. Treat it as your working title, that anytime it will change. And then number 3, know where to locate research problems. Alright, since I have already discussed that there are 11 sources, try to find research problems from those sources and not anywhere else. Not in the grocery store, not in the department store, but you can find that in the library. Alright, the research problems can be found in the library. That's one of the sources. Remember that research problems can be found almost everywhere. See, these include personal experience, personal values, everyday life, solving life problems, then gathering literature or looking into the gaps in literature or what has not been studied or known. That is what we know as gap, literature gap, what has not been studied yet. And then evaluation of a policy, program, or projects. Yes, the policies, the programs, and the projects that are implemented in the community, in the school, or in any government agency are also good sources of research problems. You can evaluate those policies. You can also evaluate projects. You can evaluate programs. Just like the 4Ps, you can evaluate that if it is really becoming helpful to the families or to the students like you who are recipients of the 4Ps program.